All right, shalom, shalom, Israel, shalom, classroom, shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom to the 12 tribes of Israel. Peace and blessings to the elect of our people scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Double honors to the elect elders of Israel and the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming of Mashiach like Yahushua. A hearty, mighty shalom to all the men of the Lord who go out there on the highways and byways, apostles, prophets, teachers, evangelists, ministers, the men that go out there in season, out of season, risking your life to magnify the name of our Lord, Yahweh, Yahushua. Shalom to those men. Shalom to all of the other men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, still mighty in the spirit, building up their households, families, congregating, keeping the commandments, and moving in the spirit of our righteous forefathers. And shalom to the Akwath out there, right? Righteous sisters, married, who reverence their husbands, those who may not be married, who attend upon the Lord without distraction, the children, the ancient men, and Israel scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom, shalom. Kwam Yasha.
God, Shabbat Shalom. All praises to the Most High for another Shabbat. Right, that's the Lord's mercy for allowing us to see another Sabbath. Right, another day of repenting, another day of magnifying the name of the Lord, another day of doing all things to exhort the Lord. Right, and exhort the brethren to continue in good works. As we always do, let's go to Acts chapter 18 and verse 4.
It's the book of Acts, chapter 18 and verse 4. And he reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath and persuaded the Jews and the Greeks.
Right, another Sabbath service to persuade Israel, who knows that they're Israel, to continue in the law, statutes, and commandments, the faith, the brotherly love, the charity, right, all things to magnify the name of the Lord. And to those just finding out that they're Israel, to compel them to come back to serve our God, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, in truth and sincerity, and being at the church of Berea, searching in the scriptures daily and diligently to see if the words that we spoken to you are true or not. Right, and the only way we can do that is through Philippians 4:13.
It's the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 13. I can do all things through Hamashiach, which strengtheneth me.
Right, through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, we're able to stand 10 toes down for the doctrine we learned. Right, cast down false doctrine, stand boldly in the face of devils, and give them their judgment through the spirit of the Lord.
And shalom, shalom, all of Israel, those keeping the commandments, doing everything they can do to magnify the name of the Lord in the last days, making their body a living sacrifice. Right, I want to get the mighty book of Ezekiel. Right, go to Ezekiel chapter 40 and verse 4.
It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 40 and verse 4. And the man said unto me, Son of man, behold with thine eyes, and hear with thine ears, and set thine heart upon all that I shall shew thee.
Right, you got to set your heart upon all of the words of the Lord that's going on, you know?
But to the intent that I might shew them unto thee art thou brought hither. Declare all that thou seest to the house of Israel.
What the Lord say?
Declare all that thou seest to the house of Israel.
Right, so it's up to the men of the Lord in the last days to declare the prophecies, the breakdowns, the allegories, the similitudes, the parables. That's why this is a Q&A. So we have to declare through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua all that thou seest.
That's right. So let's get right into it, right? Let's go to 1 Peter 3 and 15.
First Peter chapter, it's like in 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 15. Right? 1 Peter 3 and 15.
1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 15.
They may say, well, how come you aren't doing an in-depth breakdown? How come you're not going? Well, part of edification is also answering questions, man. Yahushua answered questions. Some were sincere, some weren't, man. But it's the questions are asked from our people because they may be studying. There's a lot of different congregations. They may have a question. They may be trying to teach their family. So it's good to deal with these questions because, again, one person's question could lead to an entire lesson, man. Right? So bring that out, King.
1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15. But sanctify the Lord God in your hearts and be ready always.
No, sometimes.
And be ready always to give an answer to every man that asks of you a reason of hope, of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear.
That's why the Lord said in 2 Timothy chapter 4, 2 on down, be instant. Right? So being instant meaning always ready. At any given second, at the drop of a dime, you got to be ready to go into this word, huh? You might be waking up 6 in the morning, the brother call you, I need your help, man. My life is falling apart. I'm thinking about getting, rooting myself out the land of the living. You can't say, hold on, right? Let me brush my teeth, wash my face. Talk about this suicide thing later. You just hang up, man. Right? And then, God knows what happens to that brother. You guys say, all right, come on, let's go into it. Let's go to the book of so and so and so and so, right? Right? At any given second, the men of the Lord have to always be ready, right? Right?
Okay, let's go to 1 Peter chapter 4 and 11.
1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 11. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of God.
Right, so with your answering questions, you can't speak of your own belly, right? Much speech bringeth forth sin, loosely paraphrased. So if you ever are answering questions, it has to be precepts to be backed up, right? You have to let the words of the Lord speak, right? Let the words of the Lord be true and every man a liar. Right? Continue on.
If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which God giveth, that the Most High in all things may be glorified through Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen.
Right, so you got to be able to answer these questions to your ability. And you got to understand the ability and gift that the Lord give you, right? He may give you the ability just to go on the council, right? You may not have that ability to prophesy, right? So you have to understand how the Lord has given you this gift and also use his word to magnify his name and to edify the sheep, that they may get understanding as well.
God, so let's deal with these questions, right? Let's deal with it. And the questions are on the first come, first serve basis, right? And be patient, right? They never get to my question, right? They never get to it. You guys ignore, y'all scared, y'all running away, right? You're running away. You can't provoke the servant to the Lord to answer your question, man, right? Tipped in the spirit. So just wait, be patient. Lord willing, we can get to every question. We'll try not to be long-winded. Some questions draw the spirit out, man, and it turns to a whole lesson, right? Some questions are a little bit more, concise, straight to the point. All right, so bring that out, King.
First question from Malak Israel. How do you know when God is referring to men or women only?
How do you know when God is referring to men or women only? All right, well, let's go to it. Let's go to 1 Corinthians, right? Actually, go to Exodus 1. I want to make a point first. And then somebody go to the blue letter, and we're going to go to the word children, right? Because I want to make a point. Go to Exodus 1 and 1. Come.
It's the book of Exodus chapter 1 and verse 1. Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man and his household came with Jacob.
Right, now we're going to go to this word children, right? It says, now these are the names of the children of Israel. It's not talking about little girls and boys that are 3 and 5 years old. This word children in the Hebrew is ban, which means what? Sons. Right? So whenever you read in the Bible, if you're reading the Hebrew, anytime it says children of Israel, it's really Bani Yashab, right? The sons of Israel, which is collectively, it includes the women, it includes the children, but it's written mainly to who? Who is the Bible mainly for? For the men, right? For the sons of Israel. So sometimes in the Bible, you'll see children of Israel, but it's really directed to the men, but it includes the women. But you'll see particular verses where it actually distinguishes strictly men and strictly women just based off of it saying man and woman. Right? You have something?
Come. Let's go to Psalms chapter 8 and verse 4. Right? Psalms chapter 8 and verse 4. Right, like the brother was going into. Right? The scriptures are mainly written towards men to keep things in order. Right? Men are set up to lead, to instruct, and set things in a righteous path that it should go.
This is the book of Psalms chapter 8 and verse 4. What is man that thou art mindful of him, and the son of man that thou visitest him? For thou hast made him a little lower than the angels, and hast crowned him with glory and honor. Thou madest him to have dominion over the works of thy hands. Thou hast put all things under his feet.
So the Lord set his son up to have dominion over everything and to guide men in the way that they should go, right? The Lord presented himself to Moses to deliver the children of Israel, right? Man, woman, and child, right? The Lord set up Joshua and Caleb to deliver Israel into the land, man, woman, and child, right? Yes, they had women judges. Yes, they had women that helped out with the nation, but it's always done in order, right? Like the brother said, you have verses strictly directed towards how sisters should conduct themselves, dress, and how they should go about doing things in a certain manner. But a majority of it is to the priest, the prophets, the sons of Israel.
You can get Revelation chapter 10 and verse number 7.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 10 and verse 7. But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound the mystery of the Most High.
Right, the mysteries of the Most High. So you have laws, statutes, and commandments. You have certain commandments that just pertain to the men, the priests. Right, you have land, different things going into the land. But then you have mysteries and secrets. You got parables. You got certain things that are hidden, right, in plain sight. Right, read on.
The mysteries of the Most High should be finished, as he had declared to his servants, the prophets.
The prophets, right, the men. So the Lord is speaking to with the prophecy, certain breakdowns, certain things aren't for the woman, it's for the man to have the breakdown to the nation. So on a deeper level, it's really written to the elect man to teach the nation.
Proverbs 8 and 4, number 1.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 8, verse 4. Unto you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of man.
Right, that's plain as day. Unto the men, that's who the Lord calls them to.
God. All right, so we can move on to the next question.
Next question. Malak Israel.
What time do you answer? What time was that question asked?
What time?
Yeah, they usually tell you the time on that. If not, that's okay. So I'll make sure I'm following along. All right, that's all right. You can answer it. Let me put it out there. Okay, I see it.
Next question from Malak Israel. Some teach that men are gods of the earth, but so are women, right?
Let's go to Psalms 82 and 6. Right? Psalms 82. Okay, go to Psalms 82 and 6.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 82, verse 6. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are the children of the Most High.
But what?
But ye shall die like men, and fall like one of the princes.
Go on.
Arise, O God, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations.
Read that again.
I have said, ye are gods.
The Lord is talking to who? The men. Right? He's not talking to goddesses. Right? I'm a goddess. Right? I'm mother goddess of the earth. You got to respect me. I'm pregnant. Right? I saw a picture on social media. A woman said that she's a goddess. She was pregnant. You saw that? She had the flowers around her, and men were saying all praises. Right? But guess what? The men are the gods, man. Right? Go on.
I have
See
said,
the word men, God just in the Hebrew is what? Allah, which also means what? Power or God or judge or magistrate. Right now, the judges of the earth are the men of the Lord. You can say, what about the poor? Well, the poor was a judge, right? But guess what? The men, she has to check in with her husband first and foremost, right? So the men run the nation. They govern the nation. They're the judges of the nation, right? The 144,000 are the judges of the nation, right? The government of Yahweh Shai in Isaiah 9 and 6 is going to be set up by the men of the Lord. Now, we're not saying, well, women, you got brothers, people, y'all hate women, right? Just because the Lord exalts men, it doesn't put down women, right? You don't have to feel like you're put down because God exalts man, right? That's just order and structure, right? So read on, King.
and all of you are children of the Most High,
right?
but ye shall die like men.
Die like what?
Ye shall die like men.
Read.
And fall like one of the princes.
So we fall like these other princes. It doesn't say princesses, right? We fall like the men fall, like these heathen fell due to us breaking the commandments. Read on.
Arise, O God, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations.
That's plain. So the men of the Lord are going to inherit all nations. I got one more real quick. Go to, actually, you got it. Come on. You can go to the book of Exodus, chapter 7, and verse number 1. So that's see in the Bible who the Lord called gods.
Exodus 7 and verse 1. And the Lord said unto Moses, see, I have made thee a god.
Right. See, I have made thee a god. Read.
To Pharaoh, and Aaron, thy brother, shall be thy prophet.
Right. So Moses was called the God. Right. The women aren't called gods. Like the brother went into through the spirit, that just means power. Right. God, structure. So it's literally structure in the Bible. You can't have a woman equal to a man. So the gods of the earth and the governors, you know, all of the men with preeminence that will lead and rule would be the men. Come on, let's go to the book of Acts 28, and I believe verse 6. Right? Acts 28 and 6.
It's the book of Acts, chapter 28, and verse number 6. Howbeit they looked when he should have swollen or fallen down dead suddenly, but after they had looked a great while and saw no harm come to him,
This Paul, right?
they changed their minds.
They did what?
They changed their minds
And said what?
and said that he was a god.
Know that she was a
And
god.
said that he was a god.
They said Paul is a god. Now these were Israelites, man. They weren't built up in the spirit, but they were able to discern that this brother's something different. He got bitten by a venomous serpent. He should have died, swollen up, passed out. They said this man is a god. Come on. Let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 14 and verse 11.
It's the book of Acts, chapter 14, and verse 11. And when the people saw what Paul had done, they lifted up their voices, saying in the speech of Laconia, the gods are come down.
What they say?
The gods are come down.
So they're likening the gods to men. They're saying the gods have came down. Read.
To us in the likeness of men.
In the likeness of men, not in the likeness of women. So these scriptures are written for our learning sake. Yeah, and go to 1 Peter 3 and 7. All right, don't women call their husband what? Lord. All right, men don't call their women Lord. Now, if you're doing that, you're going off. Right? We pulling you, we're exposing you. Listen, why are they talking about me? Well, don't call, you can't be calling your woman Lord, man. Don't care how good the unleavened bread is. Right? Bring that up. Well, I gotta call the Lord to get seconds. She hold, she holding the plate above your head, man. Bring that up.
1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife, as unto the weaker vessel,
Right?
and as being heirs together.
What was that? 4? Verse 3 and 4.
1 Peter chapter 3 and verse number 4.
Oh no, yeah, we was there, Salakia. 6.
Verse 6. 1 Peter 3 verse 6. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham.
Obeyed Abraham doing what?
Calling him Lord.
Calling him what?
Calling him Lord.
So when you call someone your God or Lord, that shows strength, structure, or rank or order. All right. Even Ezra called the angel my God. He said, "Speak on, my God." Yahweh Shah is referred to as a God, right? But he told you in Revelation 2 that he has a God, right? He said, "My God." So there's a chain of command of gods. You have the who? The Most High God, right? Then you have Yahweh Shai, who's referred to as a God. Does the Most High call Yahweh Shai God? Like, does he reverence him? No, right? But nevertheless, Yahweh Shai is referred to as a God, right? We can call Yahweh Bashmem Shai our God, but Yahweh Shai is a God as well. And you're a God to your woman. You're a God to your nation because you're a judge of your house. Right? You're a power of your house. So your woman, if your woman is the God, if you're calling your woman God or she's a God, that means she's the one that's calling the shots according to the scriptures. They're making the decisions to benefit the household. Now, we're not saying that, well, I don't even have to say that. I'm gonna just say that. Right? We don't have to clear up everything all the time. Right?
God, let's go to Exodus chapter 22 and verse 28.
It's the book of Exodus chapter 22 and verse 28. Thou shalt not revile the gods, nor curse the ruler of thy people.
Right, so the gods of your people are the leaders, right? The people who delegate and put structure in the order. That goes to 1 Timothy 3 and 1. Can we get that too? Right, so you can't revile the gods of your people, right? You can't revile the gods, the people who are in charge, and the people who run the nation are who? The men. Right? They're the warriors, they're the kings, they're the priests, they're the ones set up to instruct, right? But that doesn't negate or put any less on the woman. That's Proverbs 14 and 1. A wise woman is going to build up her house. How do you build up your house? Exhorting your husband, teaching the children, showing the children how to honor their father, right? So it's a beautiful power structure that the Most High set up through the Spirit. And Israel just has a problem with understanding that. Right? I don't know who the hell was the first person to say the black woman is God, but that man needs to jump off a bridge.
Right.
Right. Let's get that 1 Timothy 3 and 1.
1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1. This is a true saying. If a man desired the office of a bishop,
And what's a bishop? An overseer, an elder, right? A leader of a congregation. If start reading one more time.
this is a true saying. If a man
No, a
desired,
woman.
if a man desired the office of a bishop, he desired a good work.
So a man has to desire that office. Right, let's jump down. Salaki. Go to what the one where it says deacon. I just turned my page. Salaki. I think it's 9, verse 8.
First Timothy chapter 3 and verse 8. Likewise must the deacons be grave, not double-tongued, not given to much wine, not greedy of filthy lucre, holding the mystery of faith in a pure conscience.
Right.
And let these also first be proved, then let them use the office of a deacon, being found blameless. Even so must their wives be grave, not slanderers, sober, faithful in all things.
Right.
Let the deacons be the husbands of one wife, ruling their children and their own houses well.
So to be a deacon, you have to be a husband of one wife, making sure that your wife is in order, making sure the children are in order. It all plays a role, right? You look at the Christian church, man, everything is out of order. The deacon got multiple wives committing adultery, wives wearing biggest hats, having cook-offs, right? Eating pork, right? So it's always the men who have the power structure and set things in order, because that's direct to the one, as is the judge, so is officers.
God, and I just pulled this up. I typed in, can a woman be a bishop? Salaki. The majority, and you can look this up on your own, right? Everybody, you have to discernment to look this up. The majority of Anglican provinces now permit the ordination of women as bishops. See that? Right? And as of 2014, women have served or are serving as bishops in the United States, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Ireland, South Africa, South India, Wales, and in the extra provincial Episcopal Church of Cuba. So you got women bishops, man. Right? Now the Lord said they gotta be the husband of one wife, man. So now what are you doing? So what's going on now, man? Right? Every jot, every tittle. Right? So we moving on.
Next question from daughter of Zion, Shalom. If a sister is not spiritually full after her husband teach her every other week and refuse to teach her more, can she still be saved?
Can a sister still be saved if the husband's not teaching her?
If a sister is not spiritually full after her husband teach her every other week and refuse to teach her more, can she still be saved?
Yeah, well, go to the book of Philippians, chapter 2, and give me verse 12. Well, I'm trying to put a question up.
It should be.
Okay, I got
It
it.
should be like 3 comments.
I got it. Come on. All right, Philippians 2 and 12.
Philippians chapter 2, verse 12. Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence.
Right, because Paul wasn't around the church of Philippi 24/7.
Right.
When he was around them, he was teaching them. He was building them up, teaching them about Yahweh Shai, the resurrection, how to repent, right, to be blameless, unrebukable in the evil world, right? But then Paul left. So even when Paul left, could the church of Philippi say, well, what do we do? I don't know what's going on. Are we going to be saved? Are we going to make it? This is why he said this through the Spirit. Go on.
Work out your own salvation.
Do what?
Work out your own salvation.
What do we have to do at times?
Work out your own salvation.
Read.
With fear and trembling.
Sometimes you got to work out your own salvation, right? Because you may be in a situation where your husband just peels off and leaves. You can't just sit down with your hands out, hoping he comes back. You will never read or study till he comes back. You will never pray until he comes back, right? And you'll just drift off back into darkness, right? The Lord said that my son, in Sirach 2:1, if you come to serve the Lord, prepare your soul for temptation. So you have to prepare yourself for situations where whether you're married or whether you're not married, where things may not be going in your favor. And you got to fight to eat in this truth, right? You got to fight to eat. So if your husband's not around or he's not feeding you, first and foremost, that's a conversation that y'all need to have, right? Now, if that conversation is being done and there's no fruit and righteousness coming out of it, then you can't, again, sit around with your hands out just waiting to be fed, right? You got to read, you got to study. You understand? You have to pray to Yahweh Shai, take that spirit off of your husband, maybe through fasting, the Lord break that spirit off of him. But you have to constantly keep yourself in the spirit, man. Because if not, your candle can get blown out by not keeping your fire burning. You're commanded to keep that fire burning, right? Even if a brother is here and the brother decided to leave, the brother can't say, well, I fell out the truth because of Mariah and Amos and Naquan, right? Well, brother, you still got to keep that fire burning, man. Whether you in a congregation or you by yourself, you got to work out your own salvation. We can't save nobody, man. Right? Only Yahweh Shai can save you. You got to want this thing for yourself, man. You know?
Let's go to Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 22. Right? Ephesians 5 and 22. Like the brother said, that's a conversation you should have with your husband, right? Because if he's your head, it's a reason he may not be feeding you as much. He may be looking out for your soul. He may not be wanting you to vomit up everything that you have learned, right? What's important for sisters to know? How to be good mothers, how to be good sisters, how to help serve the church, right? You don't need to understand the deep parables and breakdowns, right? That's not profitable. It's not profitable for you to be breaking down Daniel 11, 2nd Esdras 12, right? What's that going to benefit you? Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't understand it, but he should understand what's right for you and what's may be too much for you. Right? We can read down to verse 24.
Ephesians 5, verse 22. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands, as unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Hamashiach is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Hamashiach,
so how we're in subjection to Yahushua,
so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything.
In everything, whether you may see fit to it or whether you see that it's not enough, right? You have to be in subjection. If he feels like this is the amount that he should be teaching you right now, you have to be sufficient with it. Don't be greedy and want to feed yourself to a point where you start throwing up everything you know. Then you start dwelling and intermingling with all different knowledge, right? Because you're not satisfied, right? You got to be content, right? Obviously, just speaking as a man, right? He must be teaching you enough to keep you in the truth through the Spirit of the Lord, right? Don't be greedy of meats, wanting to eat, and then you just lose it out of nowhere.
Come, let's go to the book of Additions to Esther, chapter 14 and verse number 14. So let's figure out what you would do, right? In the spirit. If your husband isn't teaching you and leading you correctly. Bring that out, King.
It's the Additions to Esther, chapter 14 and verse 14.
Right?
But deliver us with thine hand, and help me that am desolate.
Right. So Esther was saying, but deliver us with thine hand, and help me that am desolate. You may feel desolate and departed, right, from helping. Right, read on.
And which have no other helper but thee.
But what?
But thee.
But thee. Have no other helper but thee. See, your husband may not be helping you, may not have a congregation helping you, may not have a sisterhood helping you, but your true helper and help is going to be from the Most High. Read on.
Thou knowest all things, O Lord. Thou knowest that I hate the glory of the unrighteous, and abhor the bed of the uncircumcised.
She said she abhorred the bed of the uncircumcised, meaning she was in captivity and her husband was a heathen. So she wasn't getting led properly. She wasn't getting broken down the precepts, right? The mysteries and how to be a good woman and how to cook and how to do things according to the Yahweh Shem Yahushua. She said she hated the bed of the uncircumcised. You know?
And of all the heathen, thou knowest my necessity, for I abhor the sign of my high estate.
She abhorred the sign of her high estate, meaning the marriage that she was in, the position she had. She abhorred her husband and being led by that man, but her true helper and stay was going to be the Most High. Go to the book of Judith, chapter 16 and verse number 21.
It's the book of Judith, chapter 16 and verse 21. After this time, every one returned to his own inheritance, and Judith went to Bethula and remained in her own possession.
Right.
and was in her time honorable in all the country,
right?
and many desired her,
Right. Many desired her after the death of her husband. Read.
but none knew her all the days of her life. And after that, Manasseh, her husband, was dead and was gathered to his people. But she increased more and more.
What did she do without her husband?
But she increased more and more.
She increased more and more without a husband. So you don't need a husband to increase. It's ideal for you to be led according to the laws of Yahweh Shem Yahushua and your husband, but you can still increase as a woman without a husband. It's not impossible. You have many elder elect women that are widows that do the work of the Lord that increase in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding daily. Right, read verse 23 again.
But she increased more and more in honor and waxed old in her husband's house,
right,
being 105 years old, and made her maid free. So she died in Bethulah, and they buried her in the cave of her husband Manasseh.
Right, so like the brothers are counseling, saying just increase in wisdom through the scriptures, right? Increase in the knowledge of the Most High and pray for your husband and continue to fast for your family. And I want to throw a quick disclaimer in there. That doesn't, what Ariah is saying is in wisdom, right? It is right, but that doesn't mean that, okay, well, I heard I could increase without my husband. I'm out, right? I'm going, right? I was told I can do this all by myself. That's not what brothers are saying, right? Just got to put that out there, right? So take that suitcase and put it back, right? So let's move on.
Next question from Kadan. Can I do a water fast on the Sabbath if it's for health reasons?
If it's for health reasons, go to the book of Judith, the 8th chapter, right? I believe that's the 6th verse. Now, is it a sin to fast on the Sabbath? No, it's not a sin. How many days did Yahweh Shah fast? 40 days and 40 nights, right? So obviously, Yahweh Shah lived a life without spot and without blemish and without sin. So it's not a sin to fast on the Sabbath. Is it always comely and ideal? No, right? Why? Because it's a holy convocation. So you're going to come around brothers that may be eating or maybe doing things in the spirit, and your spirit is going to be a little bit different, right? Go to before you go to that, go to Leviticus 23:1. Now, read that verse.
It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 23 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts.
Right.
6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest and holy convocation.
Hey, what?
And holy convocation.
Yeah, usually when you're fasting, you're what? You're isolated. You're by yourself. You're in sackcloth. You're weeping. You're praying heavily. Right, incense is lit, and it's pretty much an isolated situation. So now when you're fasting, you run the risk of not being able to be in tune with the fast the way that you would like to be, because you're commanded to gather amongst individuals. Brother, understand that? So go on.
And holy convocation, ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings.
Now go to Judith 8:6.
Let's go to Judith chapter 8 and verse 6. And she fasted all the days of her widowhood.
She fasted all the days of her widowhood,
save the eves of the Sabbath.
So except, right? She didn't fast the eve of the Sabbath. Is it a sin, right, to fast on the eve of the Sabbath? No. But why would Judith, in her wisdom, that more than likely was given to her by her husband, and that was customarily in Israel, not to fast on the eve of the Sabbath? That's also called what? The preparation day. All right, so if you're busy ripping and running, brothers know how it is before the sun goes down. I mean, all hell is breaking loose, man. Getting this, I gotta get that. You get gas in the tank, you gotta make moves. How are you gonna do an ideal, sincere fast, man? You decide to fast on the day you know you're gonna be the busiest. So that's why she didn't fast on the eve of the Sabbath, or what?
And the Sabbath.
And the what?
And the Sabbath.
She said, I'm not gonna fast on the Sabbath either. Now, let's say you really need to fast. And then, you're going, then fast on the Sabbath, right? But if you have the ability to fast on other days, it would be wiser to do it on other days, right? Don't just sit there and you want to be in folly and vanity all day. The Sabbath ain't nothing going on, so I'm going to just fast, right? So go on.
And the eves of the new moon.
Same thing before feast day.
and the new moons,
right?
and the feast,
And the what?
and the feast.
Don't fast on the Passover. It's not that you can't, huh? It's the new moon. I'm fasting. Go on.
And solemn days
Solemn days.
of the house of Israel.
Right. So you see that? So the brother asked about water fasting. Yeah, you could do a water fast on the Sabbath. It's like you do a water fast on the Sabbath, brother. Right? I don't believe health reasons dictate, when you could do a water fast. Right? But are water fasts the standard fast according to the Bible? No. Right? But if that's something for your health and you want to kind of try to stay in the spirit, but you got health issues, then yeah.
I would say it's not expedient to fast on the Sabbath.
Fine.
All right.
Next question from Justin Washington. What is wisdom of Solomon? What is wisdom of Solomon? The 18th chapter, around the 17th verse on down, talking about.
Yeah. You can go to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 18 and start at 15 to get the context.
Wisdom of Solomon 18 and verse 15. Thine almighty word leaped down from heaven out of thy royal throne.
Right. That's the destroyer. Talking about Yahushua. Read on.
As a fierce man of war,
Right.
into the midst of a land of destruction.
Right. Egypt. Read.
And brought thine unfeigned commandment as a sharp sword, and standing up filled all things with death.
Right. The death of the firstborn.
And it touched the heaven, but it stood upon the earth.
Right.
Then suddenly visions of horrible dreams troubled them sore, and terrors came upon them unlooked for.
Because you have to imagine all of this is going down. Get the book of Exodus chapter 10 and verse 21. It's dark, man. So on top of the dark plague, Yahushua is coming. Bring that out, Ken.
Exodus chapter 10 verse 21. And the Lord said unto Moses, stretch out thine hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt.
Even darkness that may be felt. So when all of this was going down, go to Exodus 11 and verse 1.
Exodus 11 verse 1. And the Lord said unto Moses, yet will I bring one plague more upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. Afterwards he will let you go hence. When he shall let you go, he shall surely thrust you out hence altogether.
Right. You can go back to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 18.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 18 and verse 17.
Right.
Then suddenly visions of horrible dreams troubled them sore, and terrors came upon them unlooked for. And one thrown here and another there, half dead,
Have what?
half dead,
Read.
shewed the cause of his death.
Right. Meaning Yahushua was destroying the firstborn. Right. Read on.
For the dreams that troubled them did foreshew this, lest they should perish, and not know why they were afflicted.
Right. So the dreams, when you read the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the 17th chapter, they would get in dreams of strange apparitions. Jump to Wisdom of Solomon 17 and verse. Start at this whole thing is fire. Start at verse 15.
Wisdom of Solomon 17 verse 15. Were partly vexed
They were partly vexed
with monstrous apparitions.
Right. So the visions, they were seeing things that wasn't there, was dark. They was hearing creepy things. All of these different things was going on. Right, read on.
And partly fainted, their heart failing them, but a sudden fear and not looked for came upon them.
That's the same thing that's going on. Right. Jump to Wisdom of Solomon 18 and verse number 19.
Wisdom of Solomon 18 verse 19. For the dreams that troubled them,
The visions,
did foreshew this, lest they should perish and not know why they were afflicted.
right? So the Lord tapped in their mind so they could know what was going on before they died. Right, read on.
Yea, the tasting of death touched the righteous also, and there was destruction of the multitude in the wilderness.
Right, now go to the book of Exodus, right, real fast, chapter 12 and verse. Let's go to verse 7.
Exodus 12 and verse 7. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts.
That was a law for us. So what would happen to us if we didn't take the blood and strike it on the doorpost? We would get put to death. So when the Lord came down, he didn't just kill the Egyptians, he would kill his own people. They didn't keep this commandment. That's why this law and going into the Passover is very important. Because the blood of the lamb is going to cover us and protect us. Read verse 7 again.
Exodus 12 verse 7. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper door posts of the houses, wherein they shall eat it.
Wherein they shall eat it. Talking about the children of Israel. Go back to Wisdom of Solomon 18 and verse number 20.
Wisdom of Solomon 18 verse 20. Yea, the tasting of death touched the righteous also, and there was destruction of the multitude in the wilderness, but the wrath endured not long. For then the blameless man.
Right, talking about Moses. He's the blameless man. When you read the book, right, of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18 and verse 1. Get that real fast.
Wisdom of Solomon 18 verse 1. Nevertheless, thy saints had a very great light, whose voice they hearing and not seeing their shape, because they also had not suffered the same things, they counted them happy. But for that they did not hurt them now, of whom they had been wrong before.
Right, so Moses was the leader. He was the blameless man that stood up. Read on.
They thanked them and besought them pardon for that they had been enemies.
Right, you can go back to verse number 21.
Wisdom of Solomon 18 verse 21. For then the blameless man made haste and stood forth to defend them, and bringing the shield of his proper ministry, even prayer and the propitiation of incense, set himself against the wrath, and so brought the calamity to an end, declaring that he was thy servant. So he overcame the destroyer, not with strength of body, nor force of arms, but with a word subdued he him that punished.
Right, by keeping the commandments, they were protected. That's what it means he overcame them. Not that he stood against Yahweh Shah or a preeminence over. Read on.
Alleging the oaths and the covenants made with the fathers. For when the dead were now fallen down by heaps, one upon another.
Right, a lot of dead bodies in Egypt.
Standing between, he stayed the wrath and parted the way to the living.
Right, meaning he helped them by keeping the commandments and parted the way going, right, to salvation through the living. Right, read on.
For in the long garment was the whole world, and in the 4 rows of the stones was the glory of the Father's grave, and thy majesty upon the diadem of his head. Unto these the destroyer gave place, and was afraid of them. For it was enough that they only tasted of the wrath.
Right, so when you read the 19th chapter, they're getting delivered. Right, that's the same as reading Exodus. Right, the 15th chapter. Right, parting from the Red Sea and getting deliverance out of Egypt. So that's what that's going to. God, I want to get a quick precept. Jump to number 16 and 45.
It's the book of Numbers, chapter 16 and verse 45.
So to add to what the brother's going into, Wisdom of Solomon alludes to accounts in Exodus, right? But it doesn't give you great detail. So you have to kind of go, you have to read the law to know what it's talking about. You have to read when it says who the blameless man is. You look it up, Numbers 12 and 3, or link it up out of Mosai lauded Moses. Then you have to see, okay, well, when did the Israelites die in the wilderness, and when was there a propitiation of incense? So then you have to, well, when did I read that at? So you got to go into that actual account to fill in the blanks to understand what Wisdom of Solomon is talking about, right? To add to what he was saying. So go to 16 and 44, Numbers.
Numbers chapter 16 and verse 44. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Get you up from among this congregation, that I may consume them as in a moment.
Right.
And they fell upon their faces.
Go on.
And Moses said unto Aaron, Take a censer and put fire therein from off the altar, and put on incense.
And do what?
And put on incense.
Right.
And go quickly unto the congregation, and make an atonement for them.
And make an atonement for them.
But there is wrath gone out from the Lord.
Go back to 18 and 21, where it says, yeah, Wisdom of Solomon says, in the propitiation of incense, set himself against the wrath. You can read on.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18, verse 21. For then the blameless man made haste.
So they had to make haste to stop this plague like the brother was going into, man. Because if Aaron and Moses didn't make haste, then all hell would have broke loose, man. And they would have died. Go on.
And stood forth to defend them, and bringing the shield of his proper ministry, even prayer and the propitiation of incense, set himself against the wrath.
That's the same thing in Numbers chapter 16 and verse 46. Right? That's the exact same wrath. You brother see that? All right, go on.
And so brought the calamity to an end, declaring that he was thy servant.
So go back to Numbers 16 and 47.
Numbers chapter 16, verse 47. Aaron took as Moses commanded and ran into the midst of the congregation.
That's that making haste. Right, go on.
And behold, the plague was begun among the people. And he put on incense and made atonement for the people.
Right.
And he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stayed.
Right, that's what the brother's going into in verse 23. Right, read on. Read on to Wisdom of Solomon 18 and go to verse 23.
Wisdom of Solomon 18 verse 23. But when the dead were now fallen down by heaps, one upon another, standing between, he stayed the wrath.
So he stayed that plague, right, in the wilderness. Go on.
And parted the way to the living.
Read.
For in the long garment was the whole world.
Whose long garment, right, was the whole world? Aaron. Aaron is the one who actually is doing this. So now he's going into what Aaron did. Read on.
And in the 4 rows of the stones was the glory of the Father's graven.
Right.
And thy majesty upon the diadem of his head.
Read on.
Unto these the destroyer gave place.
Because Aaron was the high priest. Right now, like the brother was saying, it's not that he stood toe to toe against Yahushua. Right? You had death angels, but a death angel could be coming for this brother. And if I pray that the Most High send that spirit elsewhere, it could not get to this man. Right? So you can actually do that. Brother could be dealing with death or on his way towards destruction, and you can save his soul. Man. That's in Job, the 33rd chapter. Right? If there be one interpreter, one among 1,000, to show unto man his uprightness, man. Right? So that's the same spirit that Aaron and Moses were in, right? To save Israel from death at this time. So when the death angel came, those angels, read Wisdom of Solomon 18 and 25 again. Wisdom of Solomon 18 and 25.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 18 verse 25. Unto these the destroyer gave place.
That's similar to how the demons bowed down to Yahushua. Demons give place to the elect and the men of the Lord, man. So these demons gave place unto Aaron when Aaron was lighting the incense, man. Right? They said, look, we can't go past, we killing and killing, but we stopping right now because Aaron is here with the 4 robes and Israel, and we can't go toe to toe with this guy. He's too in the spirit. Right? Go on.
Unto these the destroyer gave place and was afraid of them.
Right?
For it was enough that they only tasted of the wrath.
So see that same thing, and you read about this in 2 Samuel 24. You had a death angel that was ready to smite all of Israel, and he started killing them, but they only tasted a little bit of the wrath. Then the plague was stayed. And what did David have to do to stay the plague? Brothers, remember in 2 Samuel 24? Yeah, they had to make an offering. They had to pray and buy the threshing floor from the brother. I can't quite remember his name. I believe so. In 2 Samuel, they had to buy the threshing floor, and the plague was stayed after he built the altar. Right? That's the 2 Samuel 24 chapter. So the judges or the gods of the people can stay the plagues from a congregation due to the authority they have over demons, and that goes back to the spiritual world. So Aaron had that same lot and same spirit as Moses. Fathers had that same spirit. Job did that with his children. He called us, sanctified them, and prayed lest there be any lest they sinned in their hearts against God. And Job was able to kind of sanctify them so no judgment was before them. Right?
Can we read Wisdom of Solomon 18 and 23 one more time?
Wisdom of Solomon 18 verse 23. For when the dead were now fallen down by heaps, one upon another, standing between, he stayed the wrath and parted the way to the living.
Right.
For in the long garment was the whole world, and in the 4 rows.
22. 22.
Verse 22. So he overcame the destroyer, not with strength of body, not force of arms, but with a word subdued he him that punished, alleging the oaths and covenants made with the fathers.
So that goes back to what the brother was saying. The Lord made a promise with our forefathers that we would grow and be a mighty nation. We'd grow, we'll be safe, we'll inherit the kingdom. Let's go to Psalms chapter 78 and go to verse number 38.
It's the book of Psalms chapter 78 and verse 38. But he, being full of compassion, forgave their iniquity and destroyed them not. Yea, many a time turned he his anger away and did not stir up all his wrath.
That's the Lord remembering that promise that he made with our forefathers and having compassion upon us. Because I'm quite sure they was going off in Egypt. They was living in the customs and mannerisms as the Egyptians, doing Lord knows what, right? But the Lord forgave our iniquities. And what happened? Jump down to verse number 49.
Verse 49. He cast upon them the fierceness of his anger, wrath, and indignation, and trouble.
Right? He did all these things, the 10 plagues unto the Egyptians, which Wisdom of Solomon just goes deeper in depth than Exodus does, right? And what the Lord said?
By sending evil angels among them.
Right? So those evil angels brought those plagues, right? The locust, hell mingled with fire. And what else?
He made a way to his anger. He spared not their soul from death, but gave their life over to the pestilence, and smote all the firstborn in Egypt, the chief of their strength, and the tabernacles of Ham.
But did what?
But made his own people to go forth like sheep, and guided them in the wilderness like a flock. And he led them on safely, so that they feared not, but the sea overwhelmed their enemies.
Right, so the Lord came and delivered his flock and led them free, man. Right, killed the overseers who were oppressing, right, that unrighteous nation, as you can read in Wisdom of Solomon, right, and set us free as sheep. Right, so the Lord is going to do the same thing in Egypt, right, which is modern day Egypt, right, Babylon. So once you read that, those same plagues that happened in Egypt are the same plagues that's coming to America, Lord willing, sooner than later.
Right. That's it. We can move on.
Next question from Church of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua 12. Shabbat Shalom, Kings. What's your favorite accounts on dealing with patience towards our own people?
That's a good one.
Come, let's go to Proverbs 25 and 28. Right, Proverbs 25 verse 28.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 25 and verse 28. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls.
So I always tell people, you know, and I take it for myself, you have to be in control over your spirit and not let everything get you out of the spirit, right? If you don't have a wall to a city, anything can come in and do Lord knows what to the people. Right. So that's the same thing with your spirit, right? You got to understand some of our people are at low levels. Some of our people are just full of demons. Some of our people are truly overwhelmed and want to have understanding and want to know what's going on. So you have to have control over a situation through the Spirit of the Lord and not let everything get you out the spirit, right? Because if something can get you out the spirit, man, all hell and destruction can come upon you, right? So you have to regard your own soul and take your time and help deliver your people from that lower state.
Right. Here's an account. Let's go to number 16. And we were just in this account. It's one of my favorite chapters, man. This is just absolute rebellion. Number 16 and 1.
Numbers chapter 16, verse 1.
And this man, his name lives forever. Every brother know about Korah, man. Right? Bring that up.
Now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and David, and Abraham, the son of Elab, and On, the son of Peleth, the son of Reuben, took men.
Right. Wicked men. They took men. Go on.
And they rose up before Moses with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes.
No, just regular old Negroes.
250 princes.
How long does it take to get 250 princes on your side? Because the Lord said by strong forbearing, a prince is persuaded. Right? So, I mean, by long forbearing, right, is a prince persuaded. Which means what? A prince, he got stuff he got to do. It's like going to your CEO with your little plan. Right? He's not just going to listen to you for 5 minutes, man. Right? He may hear you out the first time. He may have to schedule another meeting. I'll talk to you next month. Right? Then he got to really buy into what you're saying, man. Because he don't have time for you, man. People with money, they got limited time. They got stuff they got to do. So princes, they're not just going to listen to you. Oh, well, Moses and Aaron. You got to be in these guys' ears, man. Over and over and over and over. Right? To get 250 men on your side. Read on. So this is sedition. Go on.
And they rose up before Moses with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation.
What kind of men was these?
Famous in the congregation.
Read.
Men of renown.
Famous men, top men. They got the top men on their side. They think they got this thing in their hands now, right? Right? Look who we got on our side, spirit. Right? Go on.
And they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron, and said unto them, Ye take too much upon you, seeing all the congregation are holy.
Right, y'all, what are y'all doing the most, man? We want to be in charge. We're Israelites too. We're holy too. Right? What makes you a better Israelite than I am? I should be running stuff. Right? Because that was the talk behind, man. If I was Moses, man, we would have been there. Would have been in the promised land. I know this shortcut too, man. See, this quail went by the way, but why ain't go that way? Right? Yeah, man. Because Aaron, who Aaron think he is? Because Aaron's supposed to be some big high priest. You know Israel, man. Right?
I got a big beard too.
Yeah, I got a long beard. And is Miriam married? Is she married? Is she? What a reproach? She's supposed to be a prophetess, right? So Israel could talk, man. Right? So they was talking. Go on.
Ye take too much upon you, seeing all the congregation are holy,
Right?
every one of them,
And what?
and the Lord is among them.
Right?
Wherefore, then lift ye up yourselves above the congregation of the Lord.
Did the Most High choose Moses, or did Moses choose Moses? The Most High. It said you lifting yourself up above the congregation. He did. He just led them through the Red Sea, man. Right? Go on. Israel is just ungrateful, unholy. Go on.
And when Moses heard it, he fell upon his face.
He did what?
He fell upon his face.
No, he went back at him.
He fell upon his face.
How many brothers going to do that? Right? Brother come at you with charges and charges and charges, and you fall upon your face. That's an act of patience right there, right? That's why it says in Numbers 12:3. Let me get that real quick about Moses, man. Moses had a different spirit. A lot of brothers, man, I just brought you out of Egypt, man. Did you see the Mount Sinai? Was you up there? What was up there then? What you see? No. Yeah, all right. You know how Jake is. Jake started talking, man. Right? You went up there with me on Mount Sinai. Right? How many chariots was there? Yeah, that's what I thought. Right? That's why I'm Moses. Right? And he spelled his name out, man. Now Moses was humble. He was meek. Bring that up.
Numbers chapter 12, verse 3. Now the man Moses was very meek.
No, very proud.
Was very meek.
A little bit meek.
Was very meek.
Very meek. Go on.
Above all the men which are upon the face of the earth.
That's crazy. And out of anybody on the earth, anybody, it didn't say amongst the children of Israel or amongst the Levites, it said anybody that was created at that time, nobody was more meek than Moses. That's a different spirit right there, man. You're the humblest man ever on earth at that time. That's why 250 men, and he was in the right. You don't think Moses could have said things to justify why he was in the position that he was in, and told him how the Lord appeared to him at the burning bush, and how the Most High was coming to help and showed him signs and wonders, and how the Lord was, he could have brought all that out, man. But he did what? Go back to number 16. What did he do? Number 16 and 4.
Numbers chapter 16, verse 4. And when Moses heard it, he fell upon his face.
No, he started fighting him.
He fell upon his face.
He fell upon his face, man. I'm led to believe Moses could have called upon the Lord to destroy these men. And the Lord would have done it, man. So here's what he did. Let's read it. Let me get one more.
And he spake unto Korah and to all his company, saying, Even tomorrow the Lord will shew who are his.
He said, I'm going to put this matter into the hands of Yahweh. Right? The Lord going to show you what it is. I'm not going to do nothing. Right? Let Yahweh Basham Yahushua be true and every man a liar, man. The Lord going to show you what the deal is. Read on. And that's faith and humility, man. So if a brother say that, he's like, damn, man. He really believe that. He really know it, man. Go on.
Even tomorrow the Lord will shew who are his and who is holy,
right?
And will cause him to come near unto him. Even him we have chosen will he cause to come near unto him.
Right. So that's this is we can read the whole chapter and see what happened. If you want to know what happened to these men, read the chapter, right? Right. See what happened to these men, but that's the point. That's an account of patience and humility. Even when you have the upper hand, even when you're in the right, and you have many things you can say to justify it and shut everything down, you fell upon your face and put it in the hands of the Lord. Right?
That's a mighty account. Let's go to the book of 1 Samuel, chapter
So like in 2 Samuel 16 and 5,
Turn me up.
2 Samuel chapter 16 and verse 5.
right?
And when King David came to Bahurim, behold, thence came out a man of the family of the house of Saul, whose name was Shammai,
Right?
the son of Gera. He came forth and cursed still as he came.
Right? He's cursing David. And David isn't walking by himself. David isn't just anybody. He's the king. He's surrounded by his hitmen, right? His army. And he's cursing them out. Right? Go to the book of Job, chapter 34 and verse number 18. So you can't just speak to a king any type of way you want to, man.
It's the book of
You
Job.
get put to death for that.
It's the book of Job, chapter 34 and verse 18. Is it fit to say to a king, thou art wicked?
And David, it wasn't even wicked. But it's not even fit to say to a king you're wicked, man. Right? Your mom could be in the wrong with something. Your mom, you're going off, you're doing this, you're doing that. You could, right? Read that again.
Is it fit to say to a king, thou art wicked?
Right, because the king could throw you in prison, could throw you in jail, he could kill you. Is it fit to tell a king that thou art wicked? Read.
To princes, ye are ungodly.
Read on.
How much less to him that accepteth not the person of princes, nor regardeth the rich more than the poor, but they all are the work of his hands.
Right, you can go back to it. So you can't even buck up and speak up to a king to call him wicked or bring any accusations against him. Read on.
2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 6. And he cast stones at David.
He did what?
And he cast stones at
So
David.
he's throwing stones at David. David had to be extremely patient in this matter. Because it could have been a snap of a fingers to get this man put to death. He was in the wrong. He's charging the king. He's bucking up against him. It's a big scene. Read on.
And at all the servants of the king of King David, and all the people and all the mighty men were on his right hand and on his left.
All the mighty men was on his right hand and on his left.
And thus said Shammai, when he cursed, come out, thou bloody man, and thou man of Belial.
So now he's bringing up a false accusation against David. He's bearing false witness. You can get put to death for that, man.
Right.
And literally, David didn't kill this man. He didn't grab him up. He didn't charge his army and his hitmen to come take him down. Read on.
But verse 8, the Lord hath returned upon thee all the blood of the house of Saul, in whose stead thou hast reigned. And the Lord hath delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom thy son. And behold, thou art taken in thy mischief, because thou art a bloody man.
Right?
Then said Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, unto the king, why should this dead dog curse my Lord?
Right. Why should this dead dog curse my Lord, man? Who is he? Shut this down, David. You have the power to do so. Go to the book of 2 Samuel 20 and verse number 7.
2 Samuel 20 and verse number 7. And there went out after him Joab's men, the Sherethites.
Right? Now I want to look up that word. Now those was his executioners, man. So David, he was walking around. He wasn't walking around with men with nunchucks, man. And they were warriors. They'll put you to death, man. Right? Let me look that word up. This 2 Samuel chapter 20 and verse number 7. Right? Going into that word. The Cherethites, it says, executioners, a group of foreign, right, soldiers serving as bodyguards for King David, also executioners, man. So those men will chop your head off, they'll kill you, they'll thrust you through. So when David was walking around, and all of these men were around him, you have to peep the spirit of these men that were walking with him, man. They would literally put you to death like that. So we would have some type of bravery and delusion to be throwing rocks at the king. Right, go back to
it. 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 7. And there went
16.
Oh, back to 16.
Yeah. And you could jump straight to verse 9.
2 Samuel 16, verse 9. Then said Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, unto the king, why should this dead dog curse my Lord the king? Let me go over, I pray thee, and take off his head.
And take off his head, man. So they was on go mode, man. Hey, those warriors, they was in a different spirit. But let's see what David said. Read on.
And the king said, what have I to do with you, ye sons of Zeruiah? So let him curse, because the Lord hath said unto him.
And that's a real meek spirit to have all of that power to execute a death on a man. And he's doing you so wrong, and you still don't do it. You take a step back and just let, man, it's in the hands of the Lord, man. The Lord want him to cuss me, let him cuss me. And what happened essentially to this man? Hey, that spirit of him rebelling and being wicked caught up with him. And his son Solomon got him put to death. Read on.
because the Lord hath said unto him, Curse David. Who shall then say, Wherefore hast thou done so? And David said to Abishai and to all his servants, Behold, my son, which came
You can rush right there. So the point of the matter is David said, you know what? It is what it is. I'm going to let it go and put it in the hands of the Lord. And he had all of that power, but he was patient. Okay, come. We're going to move on. All right, good questions. Good questions.
Next question. My question, this is from Brood Life 40. My question is, what are tips on practicing patience?
Okay, patience. Oh, we just covered that. Oh, we covered that one. All right. Okay, all praise.
Next question. This is from Abijah. Question. I have an Edomite mom, Israelite dad. Should I trust or honor my mom according to Exodus 20:12? Need help with the shalom.
All right, that's a tough situation right there, right? Now, I want to put this out there. Go to Proverbs 4 and 7. I want to get a quick precept. Right? Proverbs chapter 4 and 7. Questions like this provokes me to ask, and wish I could ask a lot of questions to kind of see what's going on in this thing. Right? Bring that up.
Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding.
Yeah, because a brother might say, well, yeah, she going into slavery. When she wake up, put chains on her feet. Right? When she wake her up with chains, chain her to the bed. Right? And put Revelation 13 and 10. Well, brother, guess what, brother? Right? Guess what? You'll get jammed up, brother. Right? You can't, well, that's my Edomite mom. I do Revelation 13 and 9. Isaiah 14, the Lord said, prepare slaughter. Brother, sharpening his knife. Oh, yeah. Right? Well, that brother's doing 35 to life. Easy 35 to life. So, I mean, we know brothers that have heathen mothers, man. We know brothers that say he could kill my mom, right? We know brothers that said, well, look, chill out a little bit, man, right? But you got to make sure that you're moving in wisdom and it's truth, right? Now, go to Matthew 12 real quick and 41. All right, St. Matthew 12 and 41.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 12 and verse
43.
Matthew chapter 12, verse 43. When the unclean spirit.
47, Salakia.
Verse 47. Then one said unto him, Behold, thy mother and thy brethren stand without, desiring to speak with thee.
Right, so they was on the outside. Like Yahweh had a crowd of people, and his mother and his brothers was on the outside, so we want to talk to the Lord. We his family, we know that, man. Go on.
Verse 48. But he answered and said unto him that told him, Who is my mother? And
what did he say?
Who is my mother?
Right.
And who are my brethren? And he stretched forth his hand toward his disciples and said, Behold, my mother and my brethren. For whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven, the same is my brother and sister and mother.
Right. So really, your mother, although so-called biologically she's an Edomite, you may dwell with her. You got to kind of be wise as a serpent, right? You gotta still deal with her as a mother, right? But you have to understand that your true mother and your true family are those that are in His truth, right? You're in that house. You can't, because guess what? If you cause willful, it's same thing. I'll put it like this: you having an Israelite woman in the world is almost the exact same thing as having an Edomite mother. What's the big difference between your mother eating pork in the kitchen and cooking it and an Edomite doing it, man? Yeah, they're two different spirits, but they're both of the world. So how do you deal with your mother of the world? How do you deal with your family of the world, man? Right? You treat it in that exact same fashion. Now the spirit may be a little bit different because you know exactly her judgment of things of that nature, but that's where your discretion comes in. A wise man has a lot of discretion, and he has good behavior, and he knows when to move and when not to move, huh? Right? So I would, and my advice, I'm sure the brothers, are going to say what they want to say as well, is of course you honor your father as an Israelite, right? And you deal with your mother in wisdom, but if she's going to do things that lead you astray contrary to the commandments, it's all hell breaking loose. No. You got a lot of, I know a brother whose mother's an Edomite who doesn't necessarily buck up against the truth, right? It kind of just, that's my son, that's my so-and-so. We beat them at the harbor all the time. We talk to Edomite mothers whose children are Israelites, man. And they actually sit there and listen. Now, whatever happens at home, I don't know, right? But nevertheless, you have to use wisdom in that situation.
The brother brought it out. We might as well get it. Right, let's go to Matthew chapter 10 and verse 16. And then we can jump to verse 36 after that.
Matthew chapter 10 and verse 16. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves.
Right? So you honor means you just got to show reverence, right? You can love your mother, right? But you can't go against the Lord. Go to verse 37, Brother Chuck. You can't go against the Lord, man. Right? So you honor your mother, you show her respect, right? But you still honor the Lord more than your father and your mother. So, you know, the scriptures say what's going to happen. It's going to be judgment, right? I'm sure that's a heavy lot. You know, that's your mother. But, you know, you got to bear that cross. Go ahead, bring that out, okay?
Matthew 12, it's like 10 and verse 37. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me.
Right, you read the next verse.
And he that taketh not his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me.
Right? So that's a heavy cross to bear, right? But you got to always obey the Lord more than your mother and your father. So it may, you know, perturb you and make you upset that your mother's an Edomite. But at the end of the day, you're going to follow the words of the Lord over anything. So you got to honor her. But at the end of the day, that cross is kind of heavy. But you got to be wise as a serpent, man. Don't be in there just rebuking your mother for no reason. Now you cause a hell in the household. And now you can't live there. Now you're homeless. And for 2 years, right? You got to move as a serpent, right? Be wise, man, right? But harmless as a dove, man. You got to play the 50 with your mom sometimes, especially if you're an Edomite.
Yeah.
That's what we dealing with the Edomite, but you got to play the 50 when it comes to dealing with your mom if she's an Edomite, right? Yes, mom, there you go. But inwardly, you know the judgment, right? And you got to love the Lord more than your mother and father.
Give me the book of Genesis, chapter 23 and verse number 7. So the same way our forefathers were wise around the heathens, the same way we got to be to this very day.
Genesis chapter 23 and verse 7. And Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land.
Right, that doesn't mean he was serving them. Right, read on.
Even to the children of Heth. And he commanded with them, saying,
right, he communed with them.
Sorry.
Right, he's sitting up there, he's talking to them. You can have a league with the heathen, but that don't mean you give your strength over to him. Right, what was this chapter going into? Him burying Sarah. So you can have an allegiance, or you could be so-called cool with a heathen. Look about Haran. Right, how did the temple get built with Solomon? Right, when you read 1 Kings, the 5th chapter. So it's okay at a certain degree to be cordial with a heathen. Right, read on.
And he communed with them, saying, if it be your mind that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me and entreat me to Ephron, the son of Zohar.
Right, so he had the sense to be able to be cordial around these heathens to get what he want out of them. Now go to Genesis chapter 14 and 13. Because he would have never known that Lot was kidnapped if it wasn't for the heathen, man. So you want to be wise and have the intel or to be able to do certain things. You don't want to be overthrown.
Genesis chapter 14, verse 13. And they came one that had escaped and told Abraham the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abraham.
Right, they were confederate with Abraham. So in your household with your mother, she tell you to take out the trash, tell you to keep it down, the music too loud. You don't want to be over righteous and a fool. You want to be under the ordinances of the law, but if she's telling you to do anything contrary to the law, you have to literally, deny that and rebuke that. In the name of Yahweh Shemiyah. Yeah, and I was just thinking about the account. Jesse, the father of David, right? His father was Obed, right? Now, Obed's father was Boaz. Boaz's wife was Ruth, right? So you had people that had heathen mothers, but Jesse was a righteous man. His father was righteous, right? They were all righteous, but they had a heathen woman. And it didn't deter them from going astray from the law, statutes, and the commandments, right? So we move on. Okay, come.
This is from Og Gin.
We might have.
Yeah, it was
Let's get through. But this is from again, Revelation.
Okay, Slack, we're gonna get back to this question right here. Okay, read that one, King.
Revelation 21:14. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. Can somebody break this down? But the chance opens up the stuff.
Okay, Revelation. Let's read it.
21:14.
Revelation 21 and 14.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 21 and verse 14. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb.
You start at 1, and then we'll jump down.
Revelation 21 and 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea.
Right, that's not a literal new earth, right? That's talking about the kingdoms of the earth are going to be destroyed. The heavens are the powers, Russia, China, all of these BRICS alliance, the kings of the east, Babylon the Great, NATO. That's the heaven and the earth passing away, and there being no more sea, meaning no more rulership of the nations. Go on.
Verse 2. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband.
An actual city is not going to come down from the sky. That's what the Jehovah's Witnesses teach. They teach you're going to be standing right here, and then the kingdom of heaven is going to come down, and your house is going to fall right over you, but it's going to open up, and you're going to land right in your bedroom. Right? And then you just go from your bedroom, and then you go to this brother's house and this brother's house, and then the heathen just come and join, and it's one big happy party, man. Right? Seafood boy. That's not according to the Most High, man. The Lord said that kingdom is speaking about who? Who's the kingdom coming down? The city. Israel. We are the city coming down from heaven, but we're likened it to a city. It's parabolic, right? It's not a literal city coming down. We are the people referred to as a city. We're a city. We're a woman, right? We're a bride, right? What else are we? We're a son. We're a sheep, right? We are a world, right? The sand, with the sand of the sea, with the stars in particular breakdowns, right? So we're many things in the Bible. And that's where discernment comes in. You say, hold on, a city. I thought the prophecy said they're going to build up the city, right? They're going to build. Well, why is this saying this? Right, but read on. Let me get 2 more.
Verse 3. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of the Most High is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and the Most High himself shall be with them and be their God.
Now jump to 14.
Verse 14. And the wall of the city.
Hold on. Start at 10.
Verse 10.
Start at 9.
Verse 9. And there came unto me one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials full of the 7 plagues, 7 last plagues, and talked with me, saying, come hither, I will shew thee the bride.
I will what?
I will shew thee the bride,
right?
The Lamb's wife.
He's about to show who's the bride, the Lamb's wife, Israel. So he's going to describe Israel in the same way that you would describe a city. Go on. He's not going to say, look at these legs. Look at the face. Look at the nose. It's going to say, it's going to describe it in a different fashion. Go on.
And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and shewed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God.
We know that's not a literal city coming down. It's the bride, the Lamb's wife. Go on.
Having the glory of the Most High, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal.
Go on.
And had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates.
And had what?
And had 12 gates.
Now, there's actually, when you read Ezekiel, the 48th chapter, you read about 12 gates, right? You read about 3 gates northward, 3 gates eastward, 3 gates southward, and 3 gates westward, right? But each of the 12 tribes. So those are the 12 gates for the 12 tribes. Go on. And it's not an actual gate like the gate in the damn rich community. Huh? The word gate doesn't mean always a fence and a door where you can leave and come out of, right? The gates is a particular town center, for lack of better terms, where they would have judgment, do counsels. What else? The man would speak of wisdom. The Lord said, wisdom is too high for a fool. He openeth not his mouth in the gates. So there was a lot of in-depth things going on in the gates. Well, it's not always talking about a door, right? But nevertheless, that's how you came into the city. That was the top place of the city. But let's read on.
And at the gates 12 angels, and the names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel.
Go on.
On the east 3 gates,
On the east 3 gates.
on the north 3 gates.
If you want to read more about these gates, you can go to Ezekiel, the 48th chapter. I believe around 31 on down. Okay, go on.
On the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates.
Right?
And the wall of the city had 12 foundations.
12 is a number that the Most High uses. 12 apostles, 12 tribes of Israel. Right? What else is number 12? 12 months of the year. They call it the so-called 12 star constellations, or the 12 zodiac signs. Right? So the number 12 is used heavily by the Most High. Right? Go on.
And in them the names of the 12, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb.
Right, because they're the foundation. Right? Real quick precept. Go to Ephesians 2 and 20. Right, they are the foundation, the building, the cornerstone is Yahushua, and the first stones after that are the 12 apostles. So bring that up.
Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 20, and are built upon the foundation of the apostles.
That links directly up with Revelation 21 and 14. Are built upon the foundation of the apostles. Go on.
And prophets.
Yahushua
HaMashiach himself being the chief cornerstone.
So that's the exact same spirit. Right? It starts with Yahushua, then you got 12 foundations, really going into the 12 apostles. Right? Go on. So go back to Revelation 21.
Revelation 21, verse 14. And the wall of the city.
Ephesians.
Okay, Salaki, let's go back to Ephesians.
Ephesians 2 and verse 21. In whom all the building fitly framed together groweth unto an holy temple in the Lord.
Right. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
In whom ye also are builded together for an habitation of the Most High through the Spirit.
Right. So we're a city or a temple. So the Lord describes us in Ephesians, 1 Peter 3, Revelation, the 21st chapter, right? All as a city and stones. All right. So go back to Revelation 21.
Revelation 21, verse 14. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb.
So that Ephesians 2 explains that. Right? Now we don't have to, we're going to keep going. We'll move on. Right? So this is a deep chapter, right? And I believe there was a breakdown on the old Cold Cuts channel. It may not be up there, but we may have to go back into this and just do a Revelation 21 breakdown and kind of go through it through the Spirit.
Next question from Love Pious. Is it good to donate blood to the hospital as a form of charity? Is it okay for one to get surgery or do organ transplant? Can one get surgery to change a feature they don't like about themselves?
Okay. Can you read it one more time, King Michelle?
From Love Bias. Is it good to donate blood to the hospital as a form of charity?
One question at a time. Is it good to donate blood to the hospital as a form of charity? Go to Tobit. Actually, give me a Baruch 4 and 2. All right, Baruch 4 and 2. It's a sticky question.
This is the book of Baruch, chapter 4, verse 2. Turn thee, O Jacob, and take hold of it. Walk in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated. Give not thine honor to another.
Do what?
Give not thine honor to another.
Nor what?
Nor the things that are profitable unto thee to a strange nation.
To a strange, just giving all your blood up to the so-called white man. You're just sticking you. You just donate 5 bags of blood to Esau, man. Now you can say, well, that blood could be used for an Israelite child who's sick. And I mean, it could be, right? It could be used for an Israelite who's sick or who needs whatever, but it's not wise, right? Nor comely to be having them put cuttings all in your flesh, man. Right? You think they damn putting the I've never done. Has anybody done a blood donation? Right? What are they sticking? The IV, the needle, and it's only one. They only taking. They ain't putting nothing there. But they could. You gotta watch them. See that? So you gotta be careful in this thing. Right? So read that again in Baruch chapter 4. You think you're donating blood, man. They're giving you AIDS. Right? And giving you all, they can do that, man. Right? So bring that out. That's why we don't trust the so-called white man.
Right.
Never trust thine enemy. Because you may be sincere about it. I'm gonna donate blood, right? You know, Denzel Washington's son, he need a heart. Right? I'm gonna donate blood. Right? John Q. We're gonna help him out. Right? But then read that again.
Baruch chapter 4, verse 3, give not thine honor to another, nor the things that are profitable unto thee to a strange nation.
To a what?
To a strange nation.
Yeah, to a strange blood drinking nation. You're giving your blood to blood drinkers. Right? So they take your blood, they put it in their pocket and go home, huh? Right? Put it in their damn tea and mix it, and they mingle it with their food, huh? Now, are they really doing that? We look, we don't know what they're actually doing, but guess what, man? We're not going to find out.
Right.
Right? You're going to go ahead.
God, let's go to Leviticus 17 and 11. Right? Leviticus 17 and 11.
It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 17 and verse 11.
And there's a lot of accounts that you can look up on YouTube and Google about indulging in the blood drinking, right? And sacrifices of blood and all that weird stuff that these nations are into.
Leviticus 17 and 11. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your souls. For it is the blood that maketh an atonement for the soul.
So your life is in your blood, right? You don't just give your life unto somebody. The scriptures say when you do good to somebody, know unto whom you do it, right? Loosely paraphrasing. And I was with an Edomite working, and he said that his sister gave a lot of blood because I guess she was in debt, and they took too much blood out of her, and now she's not the same. She go through shock, right? He said that was years ago, right? Like the brother was saying, you don't know what they're putting inside of you, right? Israel got to stop being so gullible, right? Stop thinking that everything that the hospital do is for your benefit, because if there wasn't a need for a pharmacy, they wouldn't have made a pharmaceutical company. And what's the purpose of having a company? It's to make money. So one healed patient, you know, that's a lost customer. So they taking stuff out of you, but at the same time, they acting like they sterilizing it, they putting on gloves. Man, they probably got some stuff on there. As soon as you leave out, you pass right out. Then they give you cookies, right? To make you feel like you did something good.
Yeah, just one quick point. A hospital is the biggest money maker on the earth. Top 3 at least, open 24/7, 7 days a week, never close, insurance, out of pocket, top paying, I mean, more than the bank. Even the bank closed. They close on the weekend. Hospitals, and they got pharmacies in the hospitals. They always making money, man. It's all about revenue. You know, so I want to make that quick point.
You got it. Yeah.
Let's go to the book of First Esdras, chapter 1, and start at 27. Right, so the second part of the question, it says, is it okay for one to get surgery or do organ transplant? Right, so I'm gonna touch on one part of it.
First, this is the book of First Esdras.
Now, you don't want to be mixing around the eyes, just walking around with somebody else's eyes in you. Just eye juice, and you know, you just walking around with somebody else's flesh in you, man.
That was that Will Smith movie, 7 Pounds.
7 pounds, face off. Right. Just borrowing ligaments. Mr. Potato Head spirit, man. Just sticking wherever it deemed fit, man. Go to the book of First Maccabees. First Esdras. Chapter 1 and verse 27.
This First Esdras, chapter 1 and verse 27.
Right?
I am not sent out from the Lord God against thee, for my war is upon Euphrates, and now the Lord is with me. Yea, the Lord is with me, hasting me forward. Depart from me and be not against the Lord. Howbeit Josiah did not turn back his chariot from him, but undertook to fight.
Right. So you had King Josiah, he was going to war. Even though, you know, this Pharaoh told him not to do it. Right? The mind your business and not meddle in many matters. Read on.
But undertook to fight with them, not regarding the words of the prophet Jeremiah.
Right. So he going to war. Read on.
Spoken by the mouth of the Lord. but joined the battle with him in the plain of Megiddo, and the princes came against King Josiah.
Right?
Then said the king unto his servants, carry me away out of the battle,
Carry me away out of the battle. Read.
for I am very weak.
But I am very weak. Meaning he had to have blood leaking out from him for him to say that. He didn't mean he was very weak, that he was tired. But he's tired of swinging the sword. Take me to some water. Then all of the chariots, they took him to get a cold glass of water, man. Though he was very weak. What happens in war? You get slain, you get cut, you get bruised, you get beat. Now this is your modern day, or good ancient world rather, your ambulance, man. So they put him in a chariot and try to carry him away because he was losing blood, he was beat, halfway dead. So you want to use wisdom too. You don't want to be leaking out and just say, well, the Lord will take care of me. He just getting woozier and woozier. He just leaking and leaking. No, brother, go to the hospital. Have them sew you up. But that don't mean right when you went and woozy, they say, sign this. Then you sign it. Then you wake up with your legs gone, huh? You got to know what you're doing in this thing also. You got to use wisdom. Right? So he was very weak. Read. Gone.
And immediately his servants took him away out of the battle.
Right? They carried him away to try to help him, to bind up his wounds, right? To try to save his life, to get him out of the battle so that he doesn't die immediately getting thrust through, man. Right, we don't?
Then gat he up upon his second chariot, and being brought back to Jerusalem, died.
Right, being brought back to Jerusalem. So he had to be leaking out a whole lot in that chariot and die before he got to Jerusalem. So, I mean, you want to use wisdom too. So if you're leaking out, right, you need sewing or stitching or whatever the case may be, you want to use wisdom in the hospital as well. Right, and a lot of these donating organs, Esau wants you to do that. That's a game. That's part of this man system, man. Right, and there's money, and it's for these rich. Oh, who just the Rothschild? One of these guys just died. Brothers, remember David Rockefeller? Right? How old was the brothers? Remember how old he was? We don't know. He had like 8 hearts, man. 8 baby Jake hearts. Right? So, you know, a lot of these, you donate yourself as a organ donor, it's easy for them to go in the system and figure out who you are, where you at, and are you this guy's type, man. Right? Next thing you know, this guy got a lot of Jakes died. What happened to their organs? They come up missing. Right? There was a brother that was rolled up in the mat years ago, almost 10 years ago, I think. Kendrick Davis. They found him in the gym. Yeah, David Rockefeller, 6 heart transplant at age 99. They put a question mark at his age because nobody knows. Probably 300.
102.
What? Allegedly. Right?
March 20th, 2017.
See that? Allegedly. Breathe deeply, Mr. Rockefeller. Enjoy your 6th new heart. See that? Your 6th new heart. So, like we were saying, that brother Kendrick Davis, he was found rolled up in a mat with all of his organs missing. There's a lot of young Israelite men who died, and mothers are saying, where is my son's organs? Where are his organs? Because you donated your family. You went to the hospital, signed them up as organ donors. Now they died in a random drive-by. You got these Edomites who dress like Jake now. Huh? I don't know if brother seen this Jake mask they put on. So they go by, they act like they're Jake and act like it's a so-called hood crime or street crime, but it's really an Edomite who needed your damn organ, man. Now they find you in the ambulance coming and trying to figure out where his organs come at the autopsy. And I got a preset.
God, 2 quick things. If you are an organ donor, get that removed off your license. Right? Use wisdom. Right? Don't set yourself up for failure through the spirit, man. Secondly, for him to get 6 heart transplants, those organ donor lists are years long. Right? You gotta wait 5, 6, 7 years before you can even get a heart, liver, kidney. Right? It just shows you, you know, that the wickedness of these people, man. Because Jake is leaving and disappearing at an alarming rate. Right? They got a thing, it's called Disappeared. Right? It's a TV show. I saw the commercials for it. In each episode, it talks about people that disappeared. But they only talk about Edomites, man.
Wow.
Right? They only talk about Edomites. They'll never talk about all the missing sisters in DC. That was a campaign. Where are our sisters a couple years ago?
Like, what was it, like 2 million?
It was 2 million in DC alone. So, be wise. Get that off your license. You will not give your heart, Lord forbid something happened to you, to a nasty pig Edomite.
Yeah, man. Hey, our forefathers took that burial serious, man.
Right.
They wound them up in the linen clothes. They put the aloes and the myrrh. They handled our bodies very well after our death, man. They didn't cut open your body to get Abraham's organ out, right? You don't used to do that to the Egyptians.
Right.
They would go stick something in your nose and pull your stuff out and pull your organs out and mummify you and embalm you. And those are heathen customs, man. That's supposed to let somebody cut you all up and take what the Most High gave you, man. Right? Go to Job 39 and 27. Right? Job 39 and 27.
It's the book of Job, chapter 39 and verse 27. Doth the eagle mount up at thy command and make her nest on high?
Yeah, this is talking about an actual eagle, but the Edomites move in the same spirit as an eagle. Exact same people. He exalts himself as the eagle. So as we read about the characteristics of an eagle, they're literally the same characteristics as the so-called white man. Right? Read that again from the top.
Job 39 and verse 27. Doth the eagle mount up at thy command?
And can you just look at an eagle and say, come here? Can you train the eagle easily? Can you tell it to come here and fly? No, it's proud. Go on.
And make her nest on high?
The eagle makes her nest on high like the so-called white man. Skyscrapers, allegedly satellites, and things of that nature. Go on.
She dwelleth and abideth on the rock, upon the crag of the rock, and the strong place.
Like Esau dwells in the rocks, in the caves. Bungee jumping into dark abysses. Crawling into tight spaces, man. Right? Doing God knows what in the caves. Go. Yeah, bungee, yeah, night, and they do night bungee jumping now. They go in the middle of the night, they just bungee jump in the night. Right?
They explore caves and they go in I seen the joint, they was sliding through the small space. And they said one wrong move, they'll get stuck in there, man.
Yep.
Only a foolish people want to get stuck in a dungeon or cave.
Well, they had the movie 127 hours. And the guy got stuck in there, he had to chop his arm off, man. What a fool.
What was you doing down there in the first place?
Right. So read on Job 39 and 28.
Job 39, 28. She dwelleth and abideth on the rock, upon the crag of the rock, and the strong place.
And here's the point.
From thence she seeketh the prey.
What the Lord say?
From thence she seeketh the prey.
What these elites be doing?
From thence she seeketh the prey.
And what?
And her eyes behold afar off.
So they're watching you. Eagles have a bird's eye view. They have the top view. Carnally, Esau looks at that spiritually, man. They're in the database beholding afar off. 3 years, he's going to be 18, right? He's going to be just right. We're going to take his blood. They be killing the damn, destroying babies and dealing with adrenochrome, and they behold afar off, right? Go on. Monthly prognosticators. They got the 5 eyes alliance. They just watch. Yep, that's right. They just sit there and they scope you out, man. Go on. Yeah.
So like Job 39 verse 30, her young ones also suck up blood.
Hold on. What the Lord say?
Her young ones also suck up blood.
They sucking up blood. And what?
And where the slain are, there is she.
You see that? Whenever there's a dead body, a murder, a damn chalk zone out there, you know more than likely who did it. Who's going to be there first? Esau. Get there first, and they figure out your blood type. They're taking them organs, man. Oh, we don't know what happened to the body. We lost the body. We can't find it. Well, where is he at? What happened to him? I'm sorry, ma'am. There's nothing that we can do. Then his great-grandfather lives a little bit longer, huh? Right? 5 more years. Right. Go to the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, and verse number 23. So you can't trust these nations, man. Bring that up.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 23. For whilst they slew their children in sacrifices.
Right, they slew their children in sacrifices.
Or used secret ceremonies.
What do?
Or used secret ceremonies.
They got secret ceremonies, man, in the world. In dark places, underground, right, with stars, and they putting candles all around, drinking baby blood, doing all of these wicked things for sacrifices, right, for so-called power on the left-hand side, striking and with their hands and drinking blood and putting them all over you. Salaki, you read that again?
Or used secret ceremonies, or made revelings of strange rites.
Right, they're sitting up there reveling, strange riots, sacrificing. These are all the things these elites do on the left-hand side, trying to prolong their life, man. Right, so we have to be wise in this thing. You don't want to give your organs that the Most High gave you which are stronger than all these other nations. Right? We have what? We have melanin on our skin, man. They try to buy melanin off of us, man. They stripping our skin, trying to use our body and our ligaments and all of these different things. Eating you, man. Right? Literally, they'll eat you. They used to skin Jake alive, man, and put them on their shoes. Put purses and different things with our skin. So that's the spirit that the so-called white man has. Yeah, there's a book called The Delectable Negro. Right? Brothers ever heard of that book? Yeah, it's a book, man. They talk about Esau's predilection and fantasies and actual accounts of eating you, man. Right? And eating you and having part of you inside of them to make them stronger and make them faster and make them be able to have what you have, man. Right? You had something, Gabar?
It was a video a few months ago. It was a Edomite. He came up to this neighborhood and he was asking these Eves to buy their eggs from like 20,000.
20,000.
But then they kind of was like, I don't know. And he said, no, 50,000. I'd give you more money for it. So just to take their eggs to make babies.
Wow. Clone. Yep.
So like it was one last portion of it.
Can one get surgery to change a feature they don't like about themselves?
Come on, let's go to Proverbs 3 and 31, and then Sirach 37 and verse 7. No, you can't.
Right.
You cannot get plastic surgery to change a feature. Right? That's foolishness. Right? That's wicked. That's wicked as hell.
That's what Eve is doing now. They sitting there bleeding, sitting in the bed, bandaged up, man. Right? Trying to look like the next one, man.
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways.
People don't never read that latter part and choose none of his ways. Right? This is witchcraft. Right? Taking this part and injecting your booty with something so it's bigger, growing your breast out, shaving your nose down. Right? People are getting dimples now. Right? You're choosing the way of the oppressor. Who told you that the feature that you don't like wasn't beautiful? The so-called white man told you that. Because you're looking at all these images of women that you think are beautiful, but they don't spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to look like the next woman. Millions to look like the next woman, man. The Lord made you in that image for a reason, right? Some people have long noses for a reason. We don't know why, but that's the reason the Lord made you that way for a certain reason. Some people got long hands and fingers and ears, right? The Lord made you in that specific image for a reason, right? It's not because he wanted to make you look funny and laugh at you. The Lord does things for his own pleasure, right? And you just happen to be made that way. Now let's go to Sirach 37 verse 8.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 37, and verse number 8.
Start at verse 7.
Verse 7. Every counselor extolleth counsel, but there is some that counseleth for himself.
Right? So you got to be aware of who you're getting counsel from, right? You may watch a video and somebody may be telling you, yeah, I went and had this done. They're doing a surgery so that people can be taller now. Putting rods in your legs. They said that's probably the most painful thing to go through. You putting rods in your legs to grow 2 inches. So people respect you.
He said,
right?
He said women respect him now.
That's so superficial, man. That's so foolish, man. Right? You can't be self-conscious, man. The Lord made you in his image, man. Right? This is just a carnal body. That don't change who you are. That don't change the spirit because you got a bigger butt. That just makes you more of a prey to get exploited. Right? That's the truth. Right? I'm doing it for myself. No, the hell you're not. Right? A couple more verses on that.
Verse 8. Beware of a counselor, and know before what need he hath, for he will counsel for himself, lest he cast the lot upon thee.
Right?
And say unto thee, thy way is good, and afterward he stand on the other side to see what shall befall thee.
Right? So you got it's a YouTube era now. Right? You got people who blog, right? And they just all out, they feel like they're stunning, man. Deep down, the people who be getting these surgeries be the most insecure people, man. Right? They're the most insecure people. And they hate the Lord for the way that they made them, man. Only a person who hates the Lord would change what the Lord made them look like. Right? Jump down to verse number 11.
Verse 11. Neither consult with a woman touching her of whom she is jealous, neither with a coward in matters of war.
Right? So this goes to a lot of shit. I don't know a lot of brothers that get plastic surgery. And if you do, you got to repent, man. Right? You gotta repent. But sisters, stop getting on these social media platforms and thinking that you're not beautiful in the image of the Lord. Right? The Lord made everybody an exact way, right, for a reason. And one last thing, I saw a post. It was a elder. He said, "You're not going to be able to please that woman because she's not even pleased with the way that God made her." So you got to be mindful of those sisters who don't take pleasure in the beauty that the Lord gave them. So no, you cannot get surgery to change your face, nose, eyes, whatever you don't like. Just be grateful for it.
I can get the book of Luke, chapter 19, to verse 1. Because it was a man that was short in the Bible, man. Did the Lord deal with him? Did he spit on him? Did he laugh at him? Let's find out.
Luke chapter 19 and verse 1. And Yahushua entered and passed through Jericho. And behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus, which was the chief among the publicans, and he was rich.
Right.
And he sought to see Yahushua who he was, and could not put the press because he was of little stature.
Right. All hell was breaking loose, man. They was throwing each other through, and they was all trying to get to the Lord. But it said, because he was of a little stature. Read.
And he ran before and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was to pass that way.
Right now, his mind wasn't just, to get surgery or to just bow down to the world and what other people look like, man. That doesn't matter, man. Nothing of the things matter. Right? The Lord made you the way the Lord made you. You should be happy by that, man. Hey, the Lord made me the way the Lord made me. Can't say, well, I wish I was more dark skinned. I wish I was more light skinned. Wish I had longer hair. That's very carnal, man. Or you can rush right there. Go to Ezekiel 16 and 14. Right, Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse number 14.
This is Ezekiel chapter 16.
And it's not just talking to one type of Israelites, it's just talking to all Israel.
Ezekiel 16 verse 14. And thy renown went forth among the heathen for thy beauty.
Right, thy renown went forth among the heathen for thy beauty. Read.
For it was perfect.
No, it was sometime.
For it was perfect.
It was perfect. The way the Lord made you was perfect, man. Don't change anything that the Lord made you. Because you know what you're going to do? You're going to get addicted. They're going to put that nose on purpose 2 centimeters high so you can come back next summer, man. Then they're going to put it 2 centimeters lower on purpose so you can come back next summer. Then they're just going to keep jamming you up centimeter by centimeter.
That's that show. It was called Fox.
Yeah.
Them people was disgusting.
It just waxed worse and worse.
See that?
Right, and that's the worst of them all. Right, read that again, King.
Ezekiel 16 verse 14. And thy renown went forth among the heathen for thy beauty, for it was perfect through my comeliness.
Right, through my comeliness. Meaning the Lord put that beauty upon you, right? Not man. Man can't make you. See that? He done went from being a strong Israelite man to an alien-looking woman, man. Edomite woman. Right? All through his lust and changing his appearance. Right? Read on. Shape-shifting, right?
Which I have
Transfiguration on the left-hand side. Bring it up.
Which I have put upon thee, saith the Lord God.
Right, so the Lord put these things upon you. Let's go to real quick, 1 Samuel 16 and 5. Right? 1 Samuel chapter 16 and verse 5. So love yourself, man. Right? Love yourself, man. I love my woolly hair, man. Right? You got Jake, I gotta bleach my skin. I gotta look a little bit lighter. Right? Bring that up.
1 Samuel 16 verse 5. And he said, peaceably, I am come to sacrifice unto the Lord. Sanctify yourselves and come with me to the sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse and his sons and called them to a sacrifice.
This is Samuel coming to Jesse and his sons. Go on.
And it came to pass when they were come that he looked upon Eliab and said.
So he looked on Eliab. Samuel, a righteous man, looked at David's brother and said, what?
Surely the Lord's anointed is before him.
He said, this got to be a man of the Lord. Maybe he was tall. Maybe he had a long beard. Maybe he was strong. Outwardly, he looked like he's supposed to be a king. Go on.
But the Lord said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance.
Look what?
Look not on his countenance.
No, that's all that matters.
Look not on his countenance.
Right?
Or on the height of his stature.
Because Saul looked like a king. He was the tallest in Israel. Right? He looked like he could be a king. The Lord said, look not on his countenance, nor the height of his stature. Go on.
Because I have refused it.
The Lord can still refuse you with all your body modifications, with all of your shape shifting, All of your damn cutting and cutting off and adding to you, man. You got people that's getting forked tongues, Edomites that get horns, reptilian skin, tattoo your eyebrows. Tattoo your eyes, your pupils, man. One purple, one green. You got people doing all types of stuff, man. Creeps and weirdos, right? The Lord has refused them. The Lord can refuse you. Go on.
For the Lord seeth not as man seeth.
See, the Lord don't see how man see, man. Right? You better be worried about keeping these commandments. Go on.
For man looketh on the outward appearance,
But what?
but the Lord looketh on the heart.
But the what?
But the Lord looketh on the heart.
Read that one more time.
But the Lord looketh on the heart.
You see, right? That's not talking about your actual heart. Do I get a heart check? No. It's talking about the spirit, man. The Lord wants to see what spirit you're moving in, right? Not how long your beard is, man. Right? The Lord is not saving the men with the mightiest beards. Right? Oh, ye bearded men, come and see my glory. What scripture is that, man? Oh, Moses speaking to the men of Israel with beards and saying to them, oh, my sons, you truly are my sons. And even so shall ye inherit a better promise than those without beards. And thus shall ye say to the men with no beards. Right? It don't say that, man. That scripture's not in there. Right? There's no separation between the beards and the no beards, man. Right? So we can move on. All right, so with that, boom your shovel. Shalom. If we didn't get to your question, we may do another Q&A. We may do one throughout the week or a part 2. So be patient with us. We have the email. You can reach out to Watchmen for Israel 77 at gmail.com. You can reach out to any one of these brothers and myself personally or on social media. We'll get back to you as soon as we can through the spirit of Pop Yahweh Shalom.
Shalom.